What is the difference between the traditional way and the Band Council?
Okay, well, first, it's important to know that the original peoples of Turtle Island are a matrilineal people. Matrilineal meaning that we follow the lines of our mothers. Even our names are passed down by our mothers. Our identity is passed down by our mothers, our clan. The children are known within our society to belong to the mothers, to the women. So let's say, for instance, if the mother and father broke up, well, the children stay with the mother. They belong with the mother. So we are matrilineal in all things. In our political system, matrilineal means that our mothers also have their own political system. It is separate from the male political system. Any issues have to go through our mother's council fire first, and then is handed over to the men's council fire. And in this way you have perfect balance and harmony with the women and the men. Whereas in a non-native society, of course, you have a male dominant society that is running based on what you call or what you identify as democracy. And you know, everybody in the world has a view, a belief in what democracy is. But democracy isn't what people believe, but democracy is rooted in male dominance. It's rooted in voting, meaning that it's rooted in dividing the society. Because the moment that a society votes on something, especially when it is based on 51%, then you have 49%, which is basically, for all intents and purposes, half of the society that is constantly under a feeling of that, like they haven't been heard, that they're not considered, and then those 49% end up fighting constantly, trying to overturn the 50%. This is how democracy works. It's a feudal system. So anyways, the traditional people originally here, functioning under matrilineal, were, as you know, genocided upon by the British Crown, and what the British Crown inflicted upon us was the first apartheid system, which is identified as the Indian Act. Now, the Indian Act is a so-called democratic system of voting, which is the exact same thing, a duplicate of the non-native society. But a voting society, a democracy, is a schizophrenic society because it divides the people into many different identities. Because in democracy you have different parties, and those different parties are subjected to lobbying. So you have the parties that maybe you start off with 3 parties, but because of lobbying you maybe have 15, 25, 50 different interest groups within one political system. So within the body, you want to come to a decision, well, you have one mind. But in the non-native society, the non-native political system, you have so many different parties. This is the equivalent of schizophrenia. So the native people were never schizophrenic. We never dysfunctioned the way that the non-native society does. This comes from the elected band council system. The elected band council system is a de facto power that is only there quite simply because this is who the British Crown wants to recognize as representing our people, because they know that by negotiating with the elected band councils that they'll give everything away, because first off, they are not native. They do not carry our identity. They are the people whose minds have been subdued and who have succumbed to the residential school process, that they are basically, for all intents and purposes, non-native people, because you could have them looking completely like us, but their political system, their decision-making structure, their social structure is a duplicate of the non-native. And so it means corruption. So it is corruption for everyone that participates in that system. So the non-native system of corrupt democracies are inflicted into our people through the elected band council systems. And so this is what creates the illusion in your mind of that, well, the elected councils or the AFN are native people, when they are not.